Hello, everybody. So lovely to see everyone here. Yeah. So, hi, Katy.
Hello,
Hi.
how are you?
Yeah. So, we're going to start. This is Embodied Dialogues Podcast. So, we'll start the way we always start by slowly coming into the body and just checking first to say to yourself, to your body, that it's perfectly fine if you want to just notice what's around you in the room. It doesn't feel right maybe today to go down deeply inside. That's just fine. All right. So settling yourself. Some bodies like to stand up when we're together, slowly coming inside. So just check and see whether it would feel right for you to stand up or you're cozy where you're sitting. And then noticing what's around you. And here we are in our group together. And just getting a sense of whether it feels safe and comfortable to soften your gaze. And slowly bring your attention somewhere down into the center of your body. So lovely in the day to just allow ourselves to take the time just to slow things down and pause. Maybe just noticing where your body would appreciate a little stretch. Often our neck gets tight. I notice that in mine. So just giving your body a little moment of saying hello, stretching out or feeling into whatever comes as you begin to turn your attention inwards. So today we're going to be with Katy and we're going to explore her journey from trauma to poetry. Two very powerful words, right? The word trauma and how that sits in our bodies. And the word poetry. And just noticing your connection to poetry. Poetry takes words and brings it into the body. The felt sense speaks poetically. Language of the felt sense comes in poetry. And just noticing all of that down into the center of your body. And maybe you've had a special poem that meant something to you. Maybe you write poetry from a place inside, down in the body. Feeling into it in your breath. Down into your gut. Into your limbs. The language of poetry. the language of embodied words. And this beautiful way that embodied language can help us to heal through connecting into the felt sense. The whole of our experience. And sometimes a word or a phrase comes from a felt sense. So slowly we're going to round this off and feeling your feet on the floor. And as we come back to our beautiful group here in Embodied Dialogues, I'm feeling some excitement about exploring your journey, Katy. I love hearing about journeys. And you know, it's so great these days when lots of us are presenting our ideas and models, our work, you know, people ask, right, about your journey. How did you start all of this? How did you get into all of this? So if you want to start, just share a little bit about who you are. I know you're an OT by training and massage, right? Massage therapist.
Yeah, and TRE and SSP, and lots of embodied practices that sit around occupational therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you imagine, you think about this project and writing your book, do you have a sense of where that journey starts for you?
Yeah, I think having the opportunity to come on here and speak to you with you, Jan, and really gave me space to reflect on the journey and where has it come from? You know, it hasn't come out of nowhere. What was the beginning? And I went right back and I realized that poetry has been with me for such a long time, and it shaped my life in so many ways and the lives of others that I've worked with. And that the red thread that weaves through my life is one of trauma and the power of words and poetry, and then healing and connection that comes from that. And way back, you know, when I was a teenager, my sis and I was having a very difficult time, my sister gave me the poem The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. And it really was like, you know, somebody reaching into my soul and holding up a mirror and also giving me permission to be me and to do it my way. And that is what was going to make the difference. So that I embodied that experience of receiving poetry and it having such deep meaning for me. And then it's played a really prominent
Let
role
me
in.
say that back to you because I love that.
Mm,
You had this experience of embodying poetry.
mm, yeah.
Mm. And it's
Just
played a really important role for you. That recognition through the poem that you can do it your way.
yeah. And that will be the thing that makes the difference. And that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really special. And I think being able to go back to that moment was like, oh wow, you know, it's been with me for such a long time.
Yeah.
And you know, it played a really prominent role, as I said, in my professional life, working in mental health, which is where I started as an occupational therapist. And working with a lady who had depression and had been told by someone she was stuck in a rut. She was immobilized on her sofa, unable to do anything. I felt that I was building a rapport and a relationship, but I needed more than the words that I had to connect with her. You know, as a brand new occupational therapist, I knew I needed more. And I just had this moment of actually to get deeper, I'm going to give this poem forward. And so I gifted her The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost.
Oh, beautiful.
And it was a catalyst for transformation because I
Mm.
think one, you feel like you're being seen and heard, but on a much deeper level that we weren't, you know, that wasn't a dialogue we were having. It was on a slightly different level.
A
And
or embodied level.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
going in
I
sort of
love to
heart and soul.
feel, yeah, so heard by you, right? That you got
Exactly.
her.
Yeah, I see you, I feel you, I know where you are. And I think then seeing the words on a page which had been written by somebody many years ago just gives you the idea that actually somebody somewhere has been through something similar. And so you're not alone. And I think the words in the poem also offer this idea of hope and pathways ahead, doing things differently, rather than the sense of being stuck, which you've been told. And therefore, if we think about words being able to inspire and offer opportunities for transformation, actually they can pin you in a place as well. They can hold
Yeah.
you. They are action, words as action, and the limits of that, those 4 words were the limits of her world at that time. So giving her this poem, she was able to, well, we worked together for 3 more months, and then she was fully independent, and it had changed her life. And I think one of the most poignant moments in my life was when I was leaving that contract, because I was just locuming there for 3 months. So I was kind of flying in, new job in London, and just living my life. But at the end of those 3 months, she wrote poems for me. And the significance of that is we'd uncovered that she had had some trauma which had meant that the left field of her whole vision was gone. She was neglecting her whole left side of her body, but nobody had picked it up. Nobody had seen this. So she was existing as half and then wondering why she couldn't do anything for herself. But so, that whole
How did
left.
that, do you remember how that actually, how did she get to that from the poem? Do you remember anything?
She'd been in a car accident many years ago,
Okay.
and I think had then was diagnosed with depression, but nobody had picked up this other thing that could have been a head injury, perhaps, or a stroke, or something that's happened along the way. But it wasn't picked up by anybody until I went home with her. We built enough rapport that I could go into her home and do a full ADL assessment that I could see there was all of this side. Nothing was happening. She wasn't
Oh,
even looking in that direction. So from that, I was able to put in strategies and adaptive ways of getting dressed in the morning and just live, going through every single day activities and being able to do that in an independent way. So yeah, we went on a
what a
journey.
story, eh?
Mm,
Yeah. So I'm
absolutely.
really curious about this because I, work so somatically with the felt sense and, the way in which poetry is different than,
Mm,
writing something out in this linear kind of fashion.
yeah.
The way in which words come, when words come from the felt sense, they come
Mm,
poetically,
yes,
right? And
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
can see it in a person.
Mm,
Right? You can
yeah.
see when they go up here and they start answering the question logically.
Yeah.
The difference between that and the poetry that comes from down in the body.
Mm,
And you knew that on some level. You must have really been able to stay connected to your felt sense
yes.
and
Yeah.
to really resonate with the language of poetry through the felt sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, it's very much an embodied practice. I'm not
Yes,
trying
see
to,
this like here.
yeah, right here. And I'm holding my tummy as well. It's in the body.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I'm not looking for words in a word bank that I want to find to write about.
Yes. And that's fun too.
Yeah, wordplay is good, great fun. But then if you want to write the feeling, I can feel my body moving as I'm trying to sort of find what it is I want to say and how I want to express it onto a page. And I think as well for this lady that I was working with, she hadn't been able to write anything for years. She was very creative, but she hadn't been able to write anything for years because she couldn't cross the midline. She didn't know that this side existed. And also she was living in a state of survival, so she didn't have access to that side of her. So for
Yeah.
her to write poems, and these are beautiful poems where she's written, I feel like I'm composed of your remembered name. She wrote these incredible words for me. I was deeply touched and inspired as well by the fact that she was now writing poetry. That's what got me to think, maybe I should write poetry. This is amazing. And what a gift, actually, gifted to me. You gift on, and then somebody gifts back to you. And that really became quite an established pattern of how I worked with people and work with people.
That is honestly, Katie, that is brilliant.
Thank you.
And also breaking the boundaries
Mm,
that in other professions would feel unprofessional to
mm,
go into a client's home, for example, is part
mm.
of your OT thing. But
Yes.
we're taught never to, that's like, no, 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 you don't do
Yes.
that. stay in your own little office where you're in control of everything. There's just so much about that that is so embodied, so
Mm.
polyvagal,
Yes, absolutely.
so much about focusing in felt sense, just a
Mm.
very beautiful somatic approach.
Mm.
Isn't it interesting how you're saying, alluded to this trauma experiencing, and at the same time, you're somebody that I think, like me, I never lost that connection to soma.
Mm.
I don't know why. You
Yeah,
know, so many of us do because it's kind of beaten out of us.
yeah, yeah.
But
I
for me,
found a
it
way
was my
back.
survival.
Yes, yeah. It becomes, you can write about the experiences in order to, for that really cathartic experience to, as part of your own healing process. And I think using poetry as a therapeutic tool can
Yes.
be really, really powerful for people as well.
So tell us
Mhm.
about your poem, and then we're going to see and hear the poem, which I'm very
Yes,
excited.
yeah,
Yeah.
me too. And so when, during times of trauma, of which I have trauma in my system, there's been a number of life threat situations I've been in, and words tended to go quite quiet, but it was following quite a significant trauma when my daughter was very young and we nearly lost her. And it was a very harrowing time. I think after that and the accumulative load of trauma, over time where it just becomes so big that it starts to, I felt puppeteered almost by trauma. It was living and breathing in my body. And I felt like I was losing control. And as my daughter was growing up, it was controlling the way that I was
Let
responding
me
to,
just stop you there
yeah,
again. That is really interesting language. Did you say I felt puppeteered?
yeah, yeah.
I love
Like,
that. You are so embodied.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
that
it.
brings you right into it right away. You know what that feels like, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Something else controlling my life, controlling my responses, how I
Puppeteer.
respond. Yeah, exactly. Just doing what it wants.
That's
And I
beautiful.
was it wasn't me, it didn't feel like me. And I felt that she really deserved a better version of me, not I needed to
Yeah.
be the best version I could be. And so I started to, had lots of talking therapy, which are all absolutely amazing. But because it was in my body, I needed to get it out my body. And I think that was like that sort of was logical for me. So that's where this part of the journey started. And
Right.
I Googled, how do I get rid of it out of my body? I just turned to Google, somebody help me. How does this, how can I get rid of it? And
Mm.
that's when TRE came up, trauma releasing exercises. And it was through learning to be a provider.
Yes, that's
And
David. David,
yeah, David Baselli.
but
Yeah.
yeah, Baselli. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was
Beautiful.
fortunate enough to be able to train with him and Linnea Gillian as well, who's absolutely fantastic. So that was quite a moment. Working with him directly was so inspiring. And he talked about Dr. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory. And that's when I heard about the dorsal vagal state. That's when I realized where I was, because if you don't know where you are, how can you get out of this
Yeah.
place? I didn't recognize it. So that really gave me that roadmap, and the coordinates, which I think are very, very important. And that's what I absolutely love about the polyvagal theory. I think it offers so much hope
Yeah.
and a way forward. And it was that process, then training in SSP and meeting Dr. Liz Charles. I contacted her and said, please take me through SSP. And I
Okay.
was, yeah, because I knew, I'd said to her, you've made the implicit explicit, the explicit implicit. I need to know what that looks like in practice. If I'm going to have efficacy in doing this with others, I really need to feel it and experience it. And at that point, when I'd been through 3 months of the program, I was very fortunate that Liz was really open to me bringing in poetry that I've written. So as I was coming out of Dorsal again, I
Oh, okay.
started to write, and I sort of couldn't stop. I was in this flow state of just, oh, I'll write a poem about that. And I rewrote, we're going on a bear hunt, that children's book. We don't know what's going to happen. Can't
Yeah.
go over it. You can't go under it. You've got to go
Yes.
through it. And
Do
that is
it.
what SSP is like.
Right.
So I went away and rewrote that, and I came back. I said, Liz, I've written this. What do you think? And it was just through that process that the tree and me then came about. We both love trees. We would exchange pictures of trees, and I went away and I wrote the tree and me, and I came back, and that sort of spanned all the connections to Liz very kindly introducing me to Karen on Durko and having a reading with her, then
Oh,
to Dr.
Karen.
Stephen
Yes.
Porges.
Karen
Yeah,
and Steve. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very wonderful people. And they lived the polyvagal theory because everybody really helped to establish safety and co-regulate me along the way. And they were part of the initial key stages of the book coming to life. And the book is really shared with Regan, who's here today. And through that, Randall Redfield very kindly
Yeah.
introduced me to Laurie, and then Laurie heard about the poem, and then Regan and Alexis, and we had this connection, I feel, instantly. I mean, these are
Shall we
incredible
spotlight
people.
Reagan?
Yeah, please do.
There we go.
Yeah.
Reagan.
Yeah,
So
I felt
Reagan
like
and I work together a lot of the time, right? As the, what is your official title at the Polyvagal Institute?
I'm the course coordinator at the Polyvagal Institute.
Course coordinator, right. So we
Yeah.
do lots of work together with the certificate, the FSPM for certificate course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is beautiful sense of community, right? How you've been supported, Katy,
yeah,
a lot through
yeah,
starting with Liz, right? And then
yeah.
through the Polyvagal Institute. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just that openness to me being able to write, bring poems in, and it really helped me to become more confident in my poetry writing.
Yeah.
And then The Tree and Me was a slightly different flavor to all of the others that I'd been writing about my experiences. And it was like, "Oh, this could be, this is something different." And I think that's where it then started along the journey. But
And
yeah.
recently then you were a winner of finalist in a book award.
Yes, yeah, we were a finalist in the National Indie Excellence Awards. So we get a sticker, which I was saying I was very happy about, even at 50
Oh,
almost. Yeah, love a
congratulations.
sticker.
That's really wonderful.
Thank you.
So how about we hear and see, we hear the
Mhm.
poem and we see the visuals. Reagan, you did the artwork, you and your husband for the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. My husband and I were able to work in this beautiful collaborative process and project with Katy. We kind of took inspiration from Katy's sweet daughter, Esme, who is, we get to see her kind of growing throughout the poem. So there's kind of parallel stories that are being told throughout this poem book. So we're really excited to share it with all of you.
Yeah.
She's about 9 now, did you say?
Yeah, she's 9 now. Yeah, absolutely. And is very happy to see herself in a book, which is
Yeah,
very
I'll bet.
sweet.
What an exciting thing for
Yeah,
a
yeah,
kid.
yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. Well,
Okay.
shall we see?
John,
Hear?
yes,
Absolutely.
I will read.
Beautiful.
Okay. So I will read, and Regan's going to very kindly turn the pages. Oh.
Okay.
So The Tree and Me, a polyvagal poem. The tree and me love to feel free, my heart on my face for all to see. Branches outstretched shouting, look at me. It's so much fun to be carefree. My roots deep down in the ground below. With strong foundations, I reach out and grow. The tree and me just want to be free. Yet always we are connected, the wide world and me. To earth, tree others, to myself within. Through this, my journey of safety does begin. Many seasons to embrace, their gifts to unfold. I will face many challenges as I grow old. But with the sound of sweet lullabies whistling in the breeze, I go about my business with awe and ease. And as water and sunshine nourish my soul, I learn a dance with life to keep me whole. The tree and me love to feel free, but sometimes the lightning, it frightens me. It strikes at my bark and it twists my insides. I am hurt and scared, but there's nowhere to hide. My heart has started to thump and pound. I cannot seem to hear another sound. My focus is gone except its need to survive. My body has gone into automatic drive. Only anxiety and anger are left inside. It's like I'm on a runaway train ride. I'm distracted, jumpy, and breathing fast too. Does any of this feel familiar to you? Sometimes it's hard to know what to do. But the tree and me just want to be free. So I find a way to come back to me. I press pause, slow things right down, anchor my roots way down in the ground, and then I peek inside for what I need. and breathe deep to my tummy until at last I am freed. The tree and me love to feel free, but sometimes the wind, it won't let me be. It pushes me this way, it pulls me that. It tugs at my leaves, bending the twigs right back. My body takes over, my brain's out of sight. Only two options available, run or fight. All I can hear is the blood in my veins. Nothing even looks the same. Unfamiliar faces all around. Voices now just a distorted sound. I cannot find a safe connection. All that is left is self-protection. I'm frightened, worried, it's chaos inside. How did I get back on this runaway train ride? Does any of this feel familiar to you? Sometimes it's hard to know what to do. But the tree and me just want to be free, so I find a way to come back to me. I rise with its bluster, yet anchor my roots. This strengthens my trunk, but gives flight to my shoots. I can move around more flexibly, but never stray too far from me. I practice letting go of what has been said. Write down how I feel so it doesn't live in my head. The tree and me love to feel free, but sometimes the darkness, it overwhelms me. I surrender to stillness, suspended in freeze. No sound of sweet lullabies whistling in the breeze. Can't feel my body, where's my head? I don't even remember the last thing that I said. Please, can I go back up in my bed? What is the point of all this? I feel heavy, lost in the abyss. I am no use here, there is no hope. Such feelings of shame I cannot cope. And with the world spinning in slow motion, I sit here alone in endless procrastination. I feel so small, not connected at all. My heart is quiet, my breath shallow too. Does any of this feel familiar to you? Sometimes it's hard to know what to do. The tree and me just want to be free, so I find a way to come back to me. I search for starlight in every direction, sense out safe trees for kindness and connection. A gentle rock invites some energy back. Movement will get me back on track. Find some laughter, engage in play. These help to keep the darkness at bay. I also think it's worth a mention that we have at our fingertips life's greatest invention. A hug, a squidge, a snuggle, a squeeze, although always ask permission from your fellow trees. And if no other passes in the breeze, then you hold yourself tightly until you feel a release. This is one of the best things you can do if the opportunity is available to you. Ask the universe for that loving cuddle, guaranteed to soothe many a muddle. And the great thing is, it doesn't just help you, but it can feel pretty good for the other too. The tree and me love to feel free, but sometimes with all that life can be, there's a whisper, danger, but no threat in front of me. I may start to feel I want to run or fight, or I may just want to curl up and hide. I have all those feelings I did earlier describe, but everything is happening deep inside. And it's like it's not me who gets to decide. Does any of this feel familiar to you? Sometimes it's hard to know what to do. But the tree and me just want to be free, so I find a way to come back to me. I learn about what it means to be and how my body responds to take care of me. I thank it from the bottom of my heart. In the race of life, it's given me a head start. I take note of how my insides feel and what about me this might reveal, where I am in a moment in time, and then out from this place I can gently climb. My breath and movement support me along, so I do not get stuck in fight, flight, or shut down for too long. I make friends with my biological brilliance. This will help to scaffold a healthy resilience. Tree and me love to feel free, my heart on my face for all to see. Branches outstretched, shouting, "Look at me!" So much fun to be carefree. My roots deep down in the ground below, with strong foundations, I reach out and grow. The tree and me just want to be free, yet always we are connected, the wide world and me. To earth, tree others, to myself within. Through this, my journey of safety does begin. Many seasons to embrace, their gifts to unfold. I will face many challenges as I grow old. But with the sound of sweet lullabies whistling in the breeze, I go about my business with awe and ease. And as water and sunshine nourish my soul, I dance in life and celebrate I am whole.
Let's pause for a moment. Just really take that in. Just noticing how your body's responding. And as we come back, maybe we can join our big group and see everybody. Oh, Randall's here. That's so nice. Oh, were your ears burning? We were talking about you. Just to say that you had a part in this. We were just so moved by that, how, the Polyvagal community really uplifted you, right? That's
Absolutely.
what Gorgeous does.
Mm.
That's what we do as a community, really uplift people and spread the word, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we were just taking some time to be with the embodied felt sense of your beautiful poem and journey. Yeah. Anybody want to share? Randall. Hi, good morning. You're muted though. You're muted. There we go.
There I am. Now I have
Hi.
a voice. Nice to see you, Katy.
Nice to see you too. How are you?
And nice to hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I haven't heard you read that since you first read that, or when you read that at our first conference. We had a virtual conference in 2021,
Yeah.
and you've gotten better at reading it.
Thank you. I've read it a few
As
times.
you've had a little practice, I imagine, right?
Just a little bit of practice, yeah. The
Yeah,
nerves have to
no.
carry you through as
Well,
well.
it's beautiful to hear you read it again and to hear you read it and be able to see Regan and Alexis's images at the same time is really nice. They
Thank
captured
you.
the mood of so many different parts of that poem so well, I thought.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Anyway,
states, right? The A and S states is just
the
so
whole way through, yeah, it's really well done. It's
Yeah.
quite an accomplishment, both the poem
Yeah.
and the artwork that goes with it.
yeah.
Anyway, congratulations, Katy. It's so nice to see you here and to have followed your sort of journey over the last 4 or 5 years.
Thank you very much, Randall. That means a lot. And just for being such a key component in all of that, for being part of the book in a major way. So everything that you've done to support and connect so generously, heartfelt appreciate. Thank you.
Yeah, to say I feel the same way about Randall. Randall's my
Yeah.
shore. I go out there and I swim around and I come back and check in to see what do you
Yeah.
think about this? And I'm just doing that. And these things are important, right? When we can be here for each other and really uplift each other and share in the joy of how people are creating and working with embodiment, really
Well,
just
particularly with a poem, you put yourself out there when you write a poem.
Mm.
It's a bold act and
Yeah.
risky act, and you put it out there and you put it out to the public, particularly on this level, where you're putting out to a lot of people,
Yeah.
and it's part of your heart and soul. And
Exactly.
there's a real vulnerability there that's pretty big. So congratulations on your not only your craft for being able to create it and express difficult emotions in words. It's always hard to do, but also your bravery. in
Thank
putting it
you.
out there and staying with it and pursuing it and doing the book and everything. It's great. You should be proud of that.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Thank you. I mean, we found it such an organic experience in so many ways, and allowing it to sort of move into the light where it follows, where it wants to go. And that's fostered all these different connections. But I think certainly from Liz and then to Karen, and then Karen introducing me to yourself and Deb and Steve, having that reading, just you were anchors at that moment and established so much safety for me. It was okay to put my heart out there. I think the response that it gave, really helped me to think, actually, I can do this. This is okay, because you've been that anchor from the very start. So yeah, it's appreciated.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I feel that too. When I'm venturing out there, I feel people at my back. There's Steve there, because it's quite a journey and there is this vulnerability. I really loved the way that you really integrated, Jenlin had this phrase he would talk about, interaction first,
Mm,
meaning that bodies and environment are really one.
yes.
And this is a beautiful example of that, right? The
Yeah.
tree and me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, like a full integration almost,
Yeah.
and
The
it
natural.
moves between the two without you having to explain that. It just,
Yes,
yeah, it has
that's the beauty of the
yeah,
poem,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Thank
Elizabeth,
you.
hello, Elizabeth. Nice to see you.
Hello. Oh, wow, Katie, thank you so much for this. And
Thank you.
right? I mean, I was so moved by this that I immediately ordered the book. And I just want to talk about my felt sense as I went through it. I think the brilliance, on lots of levels, but the combination of your words with the pictures, with the
Mm,
really, I could feel my felt sense shifting depending on where we were and in the story. And it was very moving. And also, what a wonderful teaching tool. I mean, I'm doing a lot of coaching of nervous systems now with my clients, and I'm really going to use that because it's such a beautiful metaphor for how we get into states, but then how we want to get out and how we can get out, and that, reception versus interoception. So I really went on a journey of felt sense
amazing.
with your poem and with the art. So I just wanted to thank you so much. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so well
Thank
said,
you.
Elizabeth. It all goes together so beautifully. Yeah.
And I've been looking at how to put movement and breath work to it as well, and more possibly breaking it down into modular. So you're looking at ventral vagal, what that is, what that feels like, what's the neuroscience, and then the poem alongside that. So that's kind of where, I've been exploring in my mind where I might go with it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because that would be a really great teaching tool.
yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly.
already there, but to make it more explicit when you're teaching polyvagal theory and
Mhm.
focusing
Yeah,
really
yeah.
goes together. Yeah, so beautifully.
Thank you
I
so
love
much.
Congratulations, Regan.
Thank you. I love to get to hear these conversations kind of sprout out with different ideas that I've heard Katy almost say those exact words. We need this as a tool for teaching because of the ways that it helps folks feel this shift in their bodies. So it's beautiful to get to see the ways that it's being received in a similar way, in a way that we intended for it to. But Elizabeth, just thank you so much for
Yeah.
your words. I so appreciate that. Like Randall said, it's a vulnerable story that Katy entrusted to everyone who gets to read it, and especially Alexis and I, my husband, who's the co-illustrator, to get to be able to hold that story and to be a part of it as a collaborator and sharing it. It's such an honor. And so I'm really glad that those moments of really tender rupture and repair were felt in a way that took your nervous system kind of on a journey with it, but hopefully it kind of still held it in this container of safety as we're moving through emotions that can feel really overwhelming and big and difficult to hold on your own. I'm just really grateful to get to be in a community with you, Katy, Jan, Randall, and to get to be able to tell these types of stories. It's an honor.
It really is.
Also
Thank
a
you.
really great way to introduce it to certainly teenagers and
Mm,
even younger, because it really, I think, would resonate with most people's most ages.
mhm.
Yeah. Or even making one that's like really for young kids, that's like a picture book
Yeah.
with,
Mhm.
you know, like those felt books or whatever,
Yeah.
with, you can feel the trees, and oh my God, we can really have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
Robert, hello, Robert.
Hi,
I
Jan.
fancy meeting you here.
I fancy it much. I try to make that happen as much as I can.
Yeah.
I'm really just struck by the lightning strike, which I see as the experience of trauma, which actually is like you can see the states that are talked about in different sections, but there's something unique about the lightning strike.
Okay.
And, you know, it's trauma, it's what happens, and then what happens to you because of what's happened. And I'm just really haunted by that. And I'm also really drawn to the scene in the bus, subway, whatever it was, where none of these states are quite forward and manifest, but all of them being felt like underneath. That's I want to be able to talk about that maybe in terms of state language or blended states. There's I just think I said there's more. The map needs to be expanded to
Mm.
include those two scenes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That would be exciting to work on that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Beautiful.
sharing that,
Thank you.
Robert. I love the way that you described kind of how the lightning stuck with you in that way. That was one of the elements that Alexis and I were weaving with Katy into this poem of how do we show the ways that this isn't really a linear experience that we have with trauma. One of my favorite ones to work on was also when she was a teen, and we see that like that pruning. I think about pruning in the adolescent brain, but it's when the tree that was struck by lightning, that's when they have to cut it down. And so it's this kind of second wave of this grief, which I I yeah, it makes me even feel something even thinking about it or talking about it. But I'm glad that those different states, and especially on the subway too, and kind of some background on the subway, thinking of moving away from where this base is, where this home, where this sense of herself is in this tree. Sometimes the way life takes you, we kind of move away from even parts of ourself, but there's always a way to come back home to where she has her house plant, where we see this new growth, and where she comes back to her big tree again. So yeah, thank you for sharing how that resonated with you.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear the background around it, right? Yeah.
If I could just pop in for a second here before it gets lost, there was a question that came through the chat, which is slightly related to that in terms of, how it relates to the developing mind and how we move through life. But it's language has mostly been conceptual, symbolic, and abstract. Could you talk more about how and what makes it embodied? So I think it's, taking those abstract terms and how it really does relate to the stages and how it's felt along
Yeah.
the
I
nervous
think,
system.
and when I was writing the poem, I wasn't thinking in that term, coming back to Jan and I's very early conversation about the visceral. So really the poem is my journey, so I wrote it whilst I was on a healing journey. And so I wasn't, I'm writing from an embodied experience of how I experience different nervous system states, and very clearly putting in what I was doing to help me regulate my nervous system. And that's then weaved in with the tree. So I think for me, because it's from my heart and it's from my experience, I find it hard to then think about it in different terms, if that makes sense.
I think if we talk about it also in terms of left and right hemisphere, it's helpful. That embodied writing comes from the felt sense, which is in the right hemisphere. It's not linear, right? Writing an essay, we spend a lot of time in the left brain, organizing, making things linear and logical to build a case or whatever. But embodied writing, felt sense writing, is a different experience, and it's a deeper level of experiencing, as Jantlin would say. Comes from down. And so often in embodied writing, you get things that sound illogical, because they often live in the land of paradox, right?
Yeah.
Things that don't go together, and yet you find them both there. So how do you make sense out of them in this logical way, and that's a left brain function. But through the right brain, lots of things don't go together and are paradoxical. Like when Steve Porges started with, how can the ventral vagus be something that helps you and also harms you? Or when I started with, addiction, how can these things be things that help you, but they're also harming you? So that illogical place is embodied, and you were there. You were clearly in that place of writing, and so you can hear that the language sounds different.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. That's very helpful to
Yeah.
hear it explained to me as well, because that does make sense of it from in
Yeah,
a logical way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hannah.
As an art therapist, and I'm really working a lot with the polyvagal theory, and not just theory, but my way of doing it is doing a drawing first
Mm.
and then writing. And I tend to write very short poetry, almost a haiku,
Yeah.
as a response to the drawing and to what my feeling of drawing. And then it comes out as very kind of, and I have done, because I do a lot of supervision, quite often I do a reaction in drawing and in a short poem to the supervision that I've done at that time, and the embodied feeling that I have about it. But I never thought of collecting them and putting them together as part of a book. And you gave me this maybe permission to get them together and put them together and have them all together as, in fact, teaching, because that's very important to have to express both in writing and in drawing your inner feelings about what you just had heard from your not client, but basically from the client and the supervisee, and put it together as something that you understand, that you make sense for yourself. So as you say, it's not left brain making sense, but it's making sense to yourself, to your sensual, to your inner feelings, basically making yourself more available to the next one.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's great. It's amazing to hear
I was very taken by always the division and the roots below. That was very, very important.
Yeah.
To know that there are roots below.
Yeah.
That we have something to take from, something that we are connected to.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that.
And I think poetry can be an anchor, very much like that.
Yes.
In how you're describing it. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Jeffrey. My goodness, I haven't seen you in a long time.
I know. It's lovely to see you and a few people that I recognize. Robert, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Randall, Katy, I just needed to share, I guess, 3 words: tears of connection. Because as I listened to you read, there was just tears running down my face. And it's because your words really brought alive what I've experienced for a long, long time, which is, in unpoetic terms, I say often that I just need to be with the trees. If I need to inject ventral energy into my system. And a long time ago, in a faraway place, not too far away, Jan, but I worked with Jan, and one of the outcomes of that was coming out of a place where I was incredibly lost to starting my own mental health coaching practice, and I call it Wisdom Tree Project.
Amazing.
That's
And
right.
and the essence of it is it's just so beautifully captured by your words. It was really, really moving. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I did hug a tree today.
Mhm.
I'm going to say that
Well,
before at lunchtime. I'm going to go and hug a tree before I come onto this podcast series. So yeah, I understand that energy that you can get from the trees, from being in nature, how that changes and shifts things in your own nervous system, and the importance of that it plays. So thank you so much, Jeffrey, for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Your business sounds awesome.
Yeah.
They're good co-regulators, and it was fun to kind of learn from the trees and drawing it to the way that trees communicate through their roots with different fungal networks. So we were kind of taking
Absolutely
that biomimicry. So yeah.
Co-regulate with each other. Trees that need water send water that way.
Exactly.
It's like so amazing.
Yeah.
Who wrote that beautiful book about the trees? You know that one that, do you know?
Hidden Life of Trees.
Yeah, The Life of Trees. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I learned a lot about trees there.
And Regan, I just wanted to say that first time I had to listen with my eyes closed, which is something that I do, but I'm so happy this is recorded because now I can see what you brought to life, which will be as powerful, truly, I'm sure.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I love that. I love that you were able to experience that though internally to get to really take it in that way. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really magic. And I just want to say one other thing that I find when I'm working with someone who's very dysregulated, almost always male, that we will often start in nature.
Yeah.
Because it's the one place that they can feel a sense of safety. I'm continually amazed by that.
Yeah. Yeah. The ultimate co-regulator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
That's all I got, Jan. Nice to see you.
Lovely to see you. Come back and be with us. We miss you.
I will.
Lots of exciting things going on. Email me and we'll reconnect.
Yeah.
Jeffrey was a focusing trainer, and I always would say about Jeffrey that he knew how to be in a really deep felt sense without words, actually, more than anybody else I had trained, because so often we rely on words that are not right hemisphere words. They're keeping us in that logical place. And so often in training, people, I'd go around and people would all be talking. I'm like, if you're talking that much, you are not in your body. And Jeffrey would always have this way of being able to just go down in with silence. Very deep. Yeah. And we need that. Yeah. Really important. Okay, we're coming to an end. How do people feel? Do you have a nice sense? I feel this beautiful of kind of openness and relaxation and real appreciation and lovely co-regulation. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Be well, safe, and thank you so much, Katy. That was really beautiful. And Regan.
Thank you so much for having us. It's been an incredible experience. Very much appreciated.